Peter, Murrieta, thanks for being with me.
Thank you, Dean.
Let's just start.
Sure.
Where did the idea of telling stories through the medium of television and film, how did you think that was possible for you?
Well, I think my father and my mother certainly didn't come from show business. We grew up in Tucson, a little south from here, and I think we had a garrulous family that always told these crazy stories to each other, kind of. And
Who was the best storyteller?
my
in your
Uncle
family?
Dave.
Uncle Dave.
Uncle Dave.
Okay, so let's go back to
Sure.
Tucson. You grew up in Tucson.
Mm-hmm.
Great storytelling family.
Mm-hmm.
Uncle, father.
Mm-hmm.
Then how does that translate into I could do this for a living?
Well, I went to school to be, I was a creative writing major, and I still had not thought I could make a living in it. The goal when I was an undergrad was I was going to be a JV baseball coach in high school, and I was going to teach high school English. That was the plan.
Yep,
It's a very valid plan. And the reason I chose JV baseball, even in undergrad, I was like, a varsity coaching job seems like it had a lot of stress. So I was very much a guy who was not looking for stress.
Didn't want to be in the frying pan.
Right. And so in college, I fell in with this group who were doing sketch comedy. And the reason I fell in this group that was doing sketch comedy was because my professor, my humanities professor, Dr. Donna Swaim, who's still alive and retired, she graded one of my papers for existentialism in humanities. And I got this thing that said, "See me in my office, no grade."
Okay, that if you're a student, that's not what you want to say.
That is
That's
not
you're
what
gonna
you
get.
want to hear. See me, no grade. So I go in her office, and she says, "This may be the funniest paper on existentialism I've ever read."
So Wizards of Waverly Place. And that's
Yeah,
clearly a big success.
yeah.
Won a couple.
Few trophies. Got
couple
a few
trophies on that
yeah,
one.
Got a couple of trophies.
Nomination to two Emmys. So
Yep.
So how did the work you did from
Tucson?
Tucson end up playing into this story that was a broader story but still had characters?
Yeah. Well, the project was originally called The Amazing O'Malleys. There was a script Disney had, and they were looking for someone to come in and help out, run the show, perhaps do a rewrite of it to make it greenlit. And so I read it, and they were fans of Greetings from Tucson, the Disney people. And so I read it, and I went in and met with them, and very specifically I said, well, I'm very interested in telling the biracial story of my family and of families like it. So the first thing I'd love to do is turn this into a half Mexican family and not an Irish family. And they were cool with it. So I did that rewrite, and we made a few other adjustments. I also wanted them to be more blue collar, and so we did that. And they were very helpful in that process and that experience. And so when we got to cast it, there were some problems because they did not have the big well of actors to draw from. And I remembered this tape of this young girl who was probably 12, who'd done a pilot for Disney that didn't go. And I asked about Selena and
So for those, Selena
Gomez.
for those that
And I
haven't
asked, and
seen
they
the show.
said, oh, well, she's busy doing this other pilot. And I said, well, then why don't we have Selena be in both? What a great opportunity to really test your proof of concept, right? You're not going to be talking about, well, we like this one pilot idea better, but we like this actress over here. And they bought it.
What a great opportunity for her.
Right? She knew she was going to be on a show. So they bought it.
You're here in part because your own story and your commitment is aligned with our projecting all voices. The idea that everybody should have an equal opportunity in this country to be able to tell their story,
Yeah.
or to tell the story they want to tell.
Yeah.
So here we are, one of the fastest growing film programs in the country.
In the country, yeah.
Probably in terms of the total number of students, perhaps more non-white filmmakers than any other
One of the
top film
main
programs.
attractions to me.
So what do you want to say to them?
You want to give students, first of all, that concept that they're walking around with a film studio in their pocket.
They have the tools.
And then you want to give them the expertise by putting them in places like this with faculty that's going to tell them this can be yours. And finally, to your question about the business, the one thing I've learned in all my years, 20-some years in Hollywood, is the business loves money. And now that you've got people dedicated to teaching those new voices, lifting up those new voices, it really is just a matter of time. And by having ASU have the faculty that it has, people that are very knowledgeable about what's happening right now with Film Spark,
Yep.
with the Herald Examiner building in LA, those opportunities are going to be coming at these students so fast, and they need to be ready for them, right? Because one of the things that happens is you get a moment of opportunity, and if you haven't done the work, it's going to pass you by.
I'd like to conclude.
Sure.
You've already answered parts of this question, but when you look back, how do you want to say you used your creativity to change the world?
I think I didn't have a mission when I started. I just wanted to write and make people laugh. And I guess that's a mission. But I was at a conference called Amplify in Ojai, and I met a woman who makes educational software. And she said, "Tell me who you are." And I said, "I'm Peter Murrieta, and I'm a TV writer and producer." And she said, "No, you're not. I looked you up." And she said, "You're somebody who has spent 20 years putting people of color in front of and behind the camera. And that's the first line of your bio, and it should always be the first line of your bio, because I looked you up." And she galvanized me. I mean, she made me feel like, oh yeah. And it felt firm to me, like that wasn't some pamphlet or some statement that I just read. That was my life's work. And so I'm excited to be continuing that, and continuing it here, and continuing it in LA. And, I just think that's me.
Well, this can't be a better place for that mission to live itself out. You will touch thousands and thousands of students, and they will make their way in the world and tell their stories, tell their families' stories, and make our culture richer and stronger. So, Peter, thank you for being with us. Thank you for talking.
Yes.
We could have walked another half mile,
I know.
but here we are.
All right.
At the end of our journey.
All right.
Thanks.
See you soon.
Okay.